Welcome to the AI Security Update, hosted by Dr. Anmol Agarwal, where we break down the latest in AI and security with experts on the front lines, focused on what you need to know without the hype. Welcome to the AI Security Update, where we discuss the latest in AI and security. I'm your host, Dr. Anmol Agarwal, and I'm excited to welcome our guest for this episode, Santina White. Welcome to the show, Santina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Could you introduce yourself and your background for our listeners?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Santina White. I'm a person who is transitioning into cybersecurity a little later in the game, but I come with transferable skills and I look forward to being on this platform. I was in the Air Force for 4 years. I worked civil service in the Air Force as a data manager, and now I'm a data analytics for Homeland Security. My experience with cyber was quite a bit of training that I took prior to anyone in my office taking when I was in the Air Force. But as from now, I have a certification in threat detection, and I work with the cybersecurity community. I've been to quite a few DEF CONs and Black Hats. I'm a very big enthusiast about cybersecurity and AI. So I'm looking forward to diving in and working alongside some of you guys in the future. So
I think, Santina, you brought up a great point about transferable skills. So I think AI and cybersecurity, it's something for everyone to understand and to contribute to, because you might not realize it, but any job that you're doing or any background or experience that you have, you can leverage that experience to help you with future careers. So for example, when I took a class and it was completely unrelated to what I was studying, I was able to apply it to my career. When I worked on a marketing class in school and I was coming from a tech background, at first I thought, marketing is very different from technology, from computer science, but then I could leverage that to help me in my job to promote and market something that I was working on. So it's really, really important to highlight that any background that you have, any transferable skills that you have, you can leverage them in AI and cybersecurity.
yeah, I totally agree with you. Absolutely.
My next question is, how has AI security been applied to different scenarios based on your experience?
AI security is it applies because it's integrated with cybersecurity. So when I went to the DEF CON conference, or it was Black Hat, they showed how AI is going to be doing some of the vulnerability testing and report writing for a lot of ethical hackers. So AI is a tool that is not going to necessarily replace humans, but it uses the predictability to help us in doing our security aspects and our work. As you know, ethical hacking is an interest of mine. I like to learn more about it. I've taken some ethical hacking classes. And so just learning about that aspect of how AI is going to be introduced to that is important. And then I think you had talked a little bit about AI and ICS. And so that was another reason why I had got started in cybersecurity, because I was on a field trip and we went to a water plant that was in San Antonio. And so I'm also a little science nerd, so I like learning about the aquifer and the different species that live in the aquifer. Well, one of my one of my questions for one of the representatives there was the security of ICS systems, and my supervisor was totally shocked. Not my supervisor, but my professor was shocked that I had mentioned that, because he did at that point tell me that UTSA was going to start an information assurance certification. And he says, you should go for that with the questions that you were asking. And that's before they did the cybersecurity. But that that kind of coined my interest. Our infrastructures definitely need to be secured. And it's not just Homeland, but, overseas. There's a lot of things that happened in Jordan where their infrastructure was affected or impacted by cybersecurity attacks. So it's important that we are abreast about it and knowledgeable about what how those attacks can infiltrate our ICS systems.
Yeah, so ICS, for those who are not aware, stands for Infrastructure Control Systems, I believe. So we have all this critical infrastructure around us, think power grid, water systems, and we rely on these systems every day, right? Like the power grid. And we need to make sure these are secure because we all want running water and electricity. We want to have these critical infrastructure systems secured. And I actually did work on this previously when I used to work at CISA, or Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. And so I just think, yeah, it's very important to understand that the security and even AI is everywhere. Santina, you were mentioning, we had a previous conversation about this article about ICS systems. So one thing is that MITRE and NIST, they recently announced that they have this new research initiative for securing critical infrastructure. And part of that is also AI security related because you might use AI in these systems, and how do you secure that? So there's ongoing research about this on how do we secure critical infrastructure. So my next question for you, Santina, is just think about what happened recently in current events, and is there a specific cybersecurity or AI security current event that you can think of? And then let's talk about it.
The most current one I can think of is information leak or overload with ChatGPT and IA platforms. It's getting continual where everyone is using it nowadays and feeding the information. Again, putting on your cybersecurity hat, you want to be very particular about what information that you're feeding it. And even some work atmospheres, you're not supposed to be using those platforms. So, just be cognitive of that. But again, like I said, AI to me is to enhance our lives, but not to limit us. So, regardless of what technology is, you want to be cognitive of the securities of it, but you also want to indulge it because it helps. I use the AI all the time. Now, the other day, I was trying to find out how this movie was going to end because I have big anxiety. So, again, me and my predictions, I'm thinking, okay, the movie should end this way. And so I went to AI and I was like, so how does this movie really end? And of course, it didn't give me the correct answer. So that was my lesson learned. It's not to be totally relied upon, but it's us humans who have the more power. We have to remember our innovation, our creativity is what causes AI to be thrust forward and looked at upon, and utilized. So it wouldn't exist without our creativity, our innovation, our collaborations. Relationships are very big. We can't and we don't expect that AI has relationship or communication. It's human driven. So our relationships and our collaborations causes more innovation. So don't think that AI is going to rule the world because it's for us to feed. So it's for us to evolve it. So some of the things is that challenge against human versus AI. That was something I saw at the Black Hat conference. That was a big discussion. Don't be fearful of your job. Just evolve and learn more like I'm doing. That's what I study and I talk to, I don't know, when I'm not at work, and I have a community. So just learn more and evolve from it.
I mean, really, really great points. So you touched on something that I just want to highlight some more, and that's that humans were the ones feeding and training the AI, and we shouldn't rely upon it. So I think that's something really important. Um, so I actually saw on LinkedIn a few months ago someone in Black Hat, actually. She was saying she was using AI to find out the lottery number. So can AI predict like these are the winning numbers? And so she tried it. I don't think she was successful, but people are using AI for all sorts of things. And then I saw on Facebook that someone actually did use AI to find the lottery numbers, and she was lucky enough to get the right random number and win something in the lottery. So, yeah, she was successful, but that was pure luck. It wasn't because of AI or because AI magically knew who was going to win the lottery. It was just random number happened to win it. So I think the media is often saying, "Oh, she won it because of AI." But no, no, she won it because she was lucky. She just managed to get the right number on her lottery ticket and then win some of that money. So AI, I think, is very good in some cases, but then also we need to make sure that we have some human oversight for that. So, Santina, can you elaborate on some ways we can have some human oversight for AI?
Absolutely. We should be monitoring the information that is provided to AI systems and working those systems and observation as well. In cybersecurity, everything is factored into vulnerability testing, searching and navigation. And we know that the unique there's uniqueness in the human eye. There's when I say innovation and diversity, it's not just to race, but it's to thought. So we have ways of looking and questioning things that may have never been questioned or may sound um, ridiculous to some. But when we question and we reevaluate things, it could be in a different perspective to where we find those answers and we find, not find, but we find those vulnerabilities. So everything can't be rely on that. And when I say also, when I mention about vulnerabilities, we make error. And so when we are relying on AI and we are thinking that it's erroneous and it's not going to make any errors or anything, that is not true. But how do we learn? We learn through error. So until you tell some of these systems that, hey, you gave me the wrong prediction for that movie, that's not how the movie ended, it's not going to tell you that it's incorrect. So you have to find where you erred and then correct those errors. That's all how cybersecurity and technology is. I don't like it when people tell others or some think that you're not technical enough. You are technical enough. If you make mistakes and then you're able to find what those mistakes are, and it's not necessarily fixing them, but it's adapting to another prediction model, or it crafts out to be something else, then that's innovation. That's being evolving. So that to me is how we'll be successful with this new AI uh, era, where everybody's being reliant on it. Just be very particular that the humans are the driving force too.
Yeah, I think that's so many great points there. So the first thing is AI is learning from error, and also people, we learn from error too. When we started in kindergarten, we were struggling to know our ABCs, and it took a while to learn our ABCs, and then eventually we got it. And then we learned, okay, this is what alphabetical order means. And then, okay, we have to sort in alphabetical order. And then in English class, they would make us, citations for our bibliography, like, okay, this is MLA format, this is APA format. And we would slowly, slowly build up these skills. And I mean, AI is doing the same thing. It's like a kindergartner or even younger than that, and slowly learning, like, okay, this is what this information means, this is what that information means. But I think as humans, we have more advantage compared to AI, because AI, at the end of the day, it's a machine, right? It's not a person. It doesn't have the senses that we have, sight, touch, being able to hear. Now, people are saying that we will enhance AI and we will add these kinds of things, but at the end of the day, humans, what we have, our cognitive ability and our emotional capacity is something that AI is not really able to replicate. As humans, we can feed it information. So we can feed it like, hey, this is what empathy means, or this is what it means to be sad or happy. It can learn, like, okay, the word happy is good, the word sad is bad. It can learn these connotations, but it can't really replace everything that we can do as people. So I think that's also very important, is that as people, we have our insight that we have to feed and train AI, but it's not something that we can just say, oh, okay, like AI will just rely on you and you know everything and you probably know things better than us. Because actually, we know a lot too. And another point you brought up is that we really need people from all different backgrounds to help us train this AI. That's another thing, is that it's not just we need one or two people to help us with these challenges. We need, everyone to give their perspective and to feed AI information, and it needs to learn from all of us, right?
When I did that little guessing game with ChatGPT about the movie, it came back as justification for giving me the wrong answers is that it was pulling from other people's or other things that were said online about the movie. So again, it's what we feed into it, and that's how it's programmed. I can't say that it thinks, because some people personalize programs such as that, and they make them as if they're a person. But again, it's a program. So it's something that runs a script, and it finds out this, gathers this information, whether it's from the web or not, and they give you the output from that. But
Yeah, so just going back to something else you mentioned AI, it justified the wrong movie ending because it learned from what's online. And that's one challenge we have, is oftentimes on the internet, they keep contradicting each other, right? One person might say the movie ends this way, another person might say it ends this way. Some people online, they like to, be trolls. They like to just lie and say whatever they want. And AI cannot distinguish, like, is this accurate or not yet? And ultimately, to determine whether it's accurate or not, we need people to tell us, like, yes, this is accurate. Okay, no, this is from The Onion. This is not real. This is satire. And we need AI to be able to learn from that. But that requires human input, human guidance, and something we call in AI security called human in the loop. So, this idea of human in the loop is that we need humans at every point when we're training AI. So, for example, people need to be there to train the AI, like, this is good, this is bad, like a teacher, like the teacher telling you, like, this is good, this is bad. Whenever you cross the street, look left, look right, look left again, and then cross the street, if you're in the US. Um, Make sure you learn those things. But then also, we need AI when we're actually deploying the systems and it makes a mistake as well. Because we've seen AI can hallucinate and it can say, I am confident that strawberry is spelled with two R's instead of three. That was something people were talking about. Strawberry is spelled, with two R's instead of three. And it's very confident and that no, it is in fact just two R's, not three R's. And it won't sometimes say, like, yeah, I agree, it's three R's. So that's something we also see with AI, is it can make mistakes, especially with spelling like that, with strawberry.
And I may have touched it a little bit, but you were taking a marketing class in school, and you said you weren't dismissive of any of the skills that you have. And that's true. That's absolutely right. Because marketing and like branding and cybersecurity is important. There's a lot of people who are getting these certification and these degrees, but the branding side of things is what's going to put you in the forefront. So, having that skill and utilizing that in marketing, you have to do presentations. A lot of this cybersecurity is going to be report heavy. So you're going to have to do reporting of some sort in whatever career you get in cyber. Have a lot of transferable skills that you could bring into cyber. I think I was reading somewhere where someone had a job, and I'm not for certain if it was Starbucks or something, but their customer service skills and their ability to speak to stockholders Oh, she wanted to get into cybersecurity sales. That's what it was. Makes her, with her working at Starbucks, gives her the opportunity to do so because she has those transferable skills. So, but I say just don't get into it because you think it's the hottest and coolest thing. There's a true passion that a lot of people I met that are in cybersecurity, a lot of studying. There's so many different certifications. CompTIA has their Security Plus, the SANS, which is awesome, certification program. And then there's so many different certifications. The ISC too, I believe they have a Google or a cybersecurity certification. So there's some free ones out there as well.
And like Santina is mentioning, there are so many different career options in cybersecurity and bringing it back to AI security. So whenever we have these AI algorithms or models, those also need to be secure. So in this episode, we're highlighting cybersecurity, but we really need both AI data scientists and people from cybersecurity to work together for AI security. So if you're interested in AI security from the cybersecurity side, like Santina is mentioning, there are so many resources out there for you, so many different skills that you can build through various certifications. But with AI security, the nuance is that AI is adding complexity to these different systems and models that did not exist previously. So AI, people are talking about AI a lot. Everyone's using ChatGPT, Gemini, right? Santina, you mentioned you're using it for some things. And then how do we actually secure this AI as well is something we're trying to think about.
Absolutely. Quite a few organizations are using AI more. And we know biometrics has always been around, but still biometrics has even evolved more with AI.
Yeah, I think we're seeing so many people using AI now. So anyone who's using AI, just think of it like something that can help you do things faster, easier, but then also make sure that you're keeping in mind the security aspects as well. Going back to the idea of the AI and using it to try to figure out how the movie ends, right? How do we actually know what data that is being sent to the AI is accurate or not? Because in the real world, when these companies they have these AI systems and they have these AI algorithms, how AI works is it needs to learn from patterns. So think about it like when you're in school, you don't just take one class, you're taking many, many classes over many years. We spend many years of our lives in school taking all these classes, like 7 or 8 classes every single day and learning so many different things. But it's so we can build up our knowledge. And so in order for AI to do that, instead of taking classes, it's learning from all the data out there, like learning from the internet. We know the internet, it can have a lot of different types of data, different websites. Some are accurate, some are not, some are conspiracy theory forums. AI is not a person that can be told, like, hey, this is accurate, this is not, because it doesn't have the critical thinking skills that we have to say, this is obviously fake, this is obviously not true. But AI, it doesn't have that intuition that we have. And another thing is that when we're looking at AI security and we're looking at how AI is learning from the internet, there are actually news articles where AI algorithms were tricked because they learned incorrect information from the internet. I'll just talk about one example is the Tay chatbot from Microsoft. Santina, you might have heard of this scenario. The Tay chatbot, it was a chatbot from Microsoft where they had this idea like, let's learn about what people post on Twitter, and we can ask people to interact with this chatbot that is trying to be like a teenage girl to appeal to the younger demographic they were trying to market to. And of course, what did they do when it was on the internet? They just sent Tay a bunch of random things, a bunch of things about conspiracy theories. And what happened was it had to be shut down in less than 24 hours. And that's because Tay chatbot, the AI chatbot, learned from this conflicting information or incorrect information from the internet, and it didn't have the critical thinking skills to know this is wrong or this is right.
Yeah, I think I heard a little bit about that Tay box in reference to some social media platforms was using it to say racial epithets and teaching it the wrong way. So again, you brought up a valuable point. It's what you feed into it. So if you're feeding bad things to a child or you're not feeding them what they need to be fed, then it's often not going to be utilized in the best light that it needs to be. And so you want to, with these platforms, they can be very powerful, also very helpful training wise. A lot of people use a lot of AI for learning. I know when I was in school, AI was used for those in the different communities that we have, to those students who are hard of hearing and have different heart impairments, and was to help them in learning and in training. And so we could keep it in those streams and keep it to evolve in helping people versus harmful stuff like what was being used, then we could make things very beneficial for our work and also for our education reasons. So it's when people start abusing it is the issue. And again, it goes back to the human side of it. Now, again, it's not AI, but it's the humans behind it.
So with AI, it's about what you feed into it. It's about how does it learn from all these data patterns. And one thing we're seeing in AI security is people are trying to add something called guardrails. Guardrails are like saying, hey, don't do this or don't do that. But AI is very literal. So you could say, like, don't cross the street if you see a car. Don't cross the street if you see a bus. But then AI would say, okay, what if see a railroad crossing and I see a train? Then it wouldn't know, like, okay, don't cross the street if it's a car, bus, or train. But then you might not be able to cover all the different scenarios. You'll say, okay, like, it's obvious, like, don't cross the road if there's something on it. But with AI, you would have to enumerate, like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And that's something with AI, it's going to be hard to get these guardrails because these adversaries, they try to be creative and then find ways to get around that as well.
Absolutely. You have to be cognitive of what you're telling this system in to do. Sometimes you are asking AI questions or you're trying to perform some type of program, but you have to say it so methodically. You have to be very concise. It's just like a programming language. You have to be very concise. It's almost in a thinking, everything is a flow chart to me because that's what we had to do before we wrote any kind of code. And so that's just exactly how AI is. So again, people forget it's a machine, but they use it and they abuse it. And sometimes it ends up like, having the Tay box issues.
Yeah, that's what Santina is talking about. That's like prompting the AI. So it's something called prompt engineering. It's when you type in a question to an AI chatbot like Gemini, Copilot, ChatGPT, something else, it is trying to use that question, and that's called a prompt. And it's trying to use that question to see, okay, what is it you want? And I think that's also a skill that you can build on your own as well, is when you're using these AI tools to learn, like, how do you ask it the right questions so that it can give you the right answers that you're looking for? Because you could tell AI, like, hey, give me a rock. But then is that the rock you want or it's another rock? And you'll say, no, I don't want this rock. I want another one. But you need to actually tell it, like, this is my idea. This is the rock I want. This is exactly what I want. Can you give this to me? And then, okay, it will take all those different words that you typed in and say, okay, you want a rock with this feature from this beach in Galveston, Texas, and okay, I'll give you this rock. But unless you give AI that context and that information, it won't know what to do with that prompt. It will just make mistakes, and it won't be able to reason like a person would, right? It won't be able to say, okay, I know what a rock is. It might say, oh, this thing looks like a rock. It looks very much like a rock. Let me just give you this. And it's not a rock, it's a shell, or it's something else. So that's another thing with AI.
Absolutely, I agree.
Now, Santina, one other question I wanted to ask you is you mentioned this idea of mentoring and of communities. So, are there any additional resources you recommend for our listeners to learn more about anything we talked about today?
Yes, absolutely. Having a LinkedIn account, you learn. I read so many different articles. I open and read LinkedIn daily. Um, Definitely get involved. And I know I want to speak to the broader spectrum. Finding a mentor is finding someone who's going to help you when you're in when you're in the forest and you're seeking what your next move is going to be. Now, they can't tell you what to do, but they could advise you. Them handing you a footstone may take you down another route, but just always remember it's going to be you leading what direction you're going to go. So there's different women programs that I got involved in. And right now I'm part of the Cyber Rise mentorship program. So getting into the community, because what I like about the community, and it does start with the LinkedIn because that's where I learned a lot about different communities. But getting involved in the community, going to those conferences, connecting with other people, networking, it helps not just for looking for a job, but education wise. You can have conversations with others who are in cybersecurity, like I'm having with you today. And so that helps get you uh, learning and communicating more. Because, it could be something that you're saying that could get you your next project. You may be able to start a research or contribute to the NIST where they do the framework for cybersecurity professionals. So you could volunteer to do research. And so some of those things are what you want to do. It's a community. This is a very strong community. It allows you to write your own narrative, improve your own skill set. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I consider myself a big sister, for say, I'm still navigating and working through things, but I do like helping others, even if it's just to review your resume or me reference someone else to help you, let's make that happen. I can. But I say getting connected and finding your tribe is very important. I did women in cybersecurity. I did women in security and privacy. I actually went with them to the Black Hat conference and the DEF CON conference. It was awesome. I met gentlemen and women there as well. I stayed connected with them, talking to them. There's this Varsity, and that's also a very diverse women and male group that is successful. And there's some private ones that people have started. So, I mean, there's a community there. Get yourself involved. Get involved in a book club. I love reading books. And so, um, they always have interesting books to read. They show that there is an opportunity for everyone at the table. So yeah, I promote this field a lot. I was telling a waitress at a restaurant, this is why cybersecurity is so great, and this is what I'm going to say on this podcast that I have because it is. So yes, definitely, and AI security. So and AI security, if you could get into the training and the education of it now, then then do so. If you have anything that you're not studying now, look at some of those certifications because they're going to go hand in hand in more of the cybersecurity analysis of things. Like I was mentioning at Black Hat, are going to be on AI platforms.
Yeah, thank you so much, Santina. And I would just want to add that cybersecurity is very supportive, and so is AI. The AI and data science community is also very supportive as well. So if you are interested in AI and security, you can get involved with both. And they have women in tech resources, resources for veterans, resources for so many different kinds of people. Can't find your community, then you can go out and create your own meetup and your own small group and gather people that can help you and learn from them. And one other thing I just want to add is I mentor a lot, and my mentees, they're often scared to post on LinkedIn or to talk to people on LinkedIn. But I just wanted to reiterate that people are out there to help you. If you want to get into a field or you want to do a job and you admire someone, then just message them on LinkedIn. Start this mentoring relationship with people and say, "Hey, I admire you because of all of your skills in this." Or, "What do you think about this current event?" Like we talk about current events on this show, you could leverage some of what you're learning on this show and then use that as a conversation starter with people you're meeting and say, "Hey, I heard on this podcast about this thing about prompt engineering and I want to know your thoughts on it." So it's really about just putting yourself out there so that people know that you're interested in this and then people will help you. I would say this community in tech in general is extremely supportive of other people. You just have to find your own community.
You don't have to have just one mentor. Find someone who they don't even have to have your path. They could have done what you're looking to do, and then they could tell you about it and then how they got to where they got to. But you don't have to just have one mentor. Sometimes I think what I learned in squadron officer school was that you could have flash mentors. That's where you just meet with this one person and they give you a quick flash because sometimes senior leadership don't have a lot of time, and that's understood. So they meet with you at one setting. You guys have a very evolved conversation. They look at some of the things that you're doing, and they kind of give you their input, and then you meet, and then that's it. And that's fine. Then you have some people who may sponsor you, and those sponsors are like, "Hey, I see your skills." One young lady I know, she got a job right out of college, and she's doing fantastic things already. So sometimes that sponsorship helps because she found someone who just sponsored her. And that was it. They were like, okay, I can see what you've done in school and I would like to invest in you with a job. And so they end up giving her a job and then she's just taking off and doing great things as a network security architect, I think, or analyst. It's really insightful to have mentoring relationship, but you could have different ones. So sometimes people think of just the one person and that one person is your go-to person. That's not the case all the time. Sometimes it could be with a program and, they're having a group mentorship. So they're mentoring multiple people in the group and then they're sitting down, you know, uh, together. Mentorship is important to me. I find it very lucrative and plentiful in cybersecurity because people want you to be successful.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing with the data science community as well. If you're interested in something, just reach out to people. LinkedIn, I would say, is one of the really effective ways to start. You just see someone, you go to conferences, go to events, learn from them, learn about different concepts, and that's how you grow and you thrive in this field. So thank you so much, Santina, for being on our show. This concludes our show. Is there anything you want to add?
Yes, I want to thank you for being such an awesome force in cybersecurity and just giving me this opportunity. You are definitely an encouragement. If anybody has the opportunity to be on any of her shows or just to speak to her, to speak to you in public, you've done a lot. You've really done a lot, and I appreciate all the things that you've done and who you are, and you deserve every accolade. I see that you got a SANS award and you you get different recognitions from the cybersecurity community, and that's true, because you're deserving of it, and you are a star in our community, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Santina. So thank you for being on our show. And if you enjoyed this show, be sure to subscribe. We'll be back next time with more great conversations. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the AI Security Update. No hype, just what you need to know. Subscribe to catch the latest episodes and connect with me, Dr. Anmol, on LinkedIn for more insights from the world of AI security. We'll see you next time.